Hi, everyone. I'm Annie Dickerson, and on behalf of the whole Goodegg Investments team, I'm thrilled to welcome you to another episode of the Life and Money Show. I'm joined by my co-host, Susan Elliott. Susan, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you today, Annie?
I'm good. We have a brand new member of our family. We have an 8-week-old puppy. She's a Cavapoo, a Cavalier King Charles and Poodle mix, which my kids named Miso. She's this beautiful, caramel, red brown color. And she's just a tiny little 3-pound fluff ball. She is so much fun. All she wants to do is snuggle.
Adorable. Yeah. And she looks like a stuffed animal until she just moves slightly in video meetings every once in a while. Oh, that's a real dog. Yeah. I just can't wait for the really cute puppy photo drops to be woven into our communications for all of our investors. Cause that really it is proven that puppy photos make us all happier. So
that's right.
Out of love for this company, Annie, you really took one for the team here and got the cutest puppy on the planet.
Yeah, she can be the Goodegg mascot for sure. All right. So with that, Susan, shall we dive in?
Yeah. Well, the first, idea we have for generating a little bit more money to get to that threshold for investing, whether that's a crowd fund or just one of our regular funds, is to rent out your home on Airbnb as a short-term rental. And so this is what my family and I do when we do these big trips to Arizona. So this is very fresh in my head. This is our third year of renting out our primary residence as a full home rental. So I'm going to cover a little bit about how we make that work and why it's worth it, because it is a little bit of an extra work, a little bit of an extra push in the beginning. So we rent out our whole house. I kind of market it as a really kid-friendly place. We live in a beautiful part of town. It's walkable to town. So you're kind of thinking about the reasons why you love your home, and you're going to set it up so that other people can love your home in the same way. I think I gravitate towards this. I actually enjoy it because I love hosting friends and family if I can in my home. So it's as if I get to share this town that's the dream town. I get to live in this beautiful little mountain town in the Columbia River Gorge, and I get to share that with people who have never seen it before, kind of make their experience really comfortable, give them extra amenities that they may not find, like a high chair and books and some toys and these things in a house that I would just love to find in an Airbnb when I travel. So I think that the pros of this, right, is that you are going to generate what feels like fairly passive income while it's happening. I love getting these notifications that a deposit, $1,000-something deposit was sent to your account. This deposit, and sort of in that moment feels very passive, but there is a good bit of work on the front end of it that you can always outsource. There's always people who are willing to do the type of work that we're talking about. But in the prep of our house is really where the big part happens. So we have chosen to lock our closets. We installed locks on our closets. This is one of the ways where we can take all of our personal belongings, all of our clothing, we empty our drawers. I take down sort of family photos. We still have some adventure photos up that look like anybody could be kayaking over that waterfall, or anybody could be hiking that beautiful trail. But, and then we lock it up in our closets, and those closets get super full. Let me tell you, there's a lot that goes into there. A lot of toys that just maybe don't have all the parts, or games that I don't want to lose pieces to. But like I said, I leave out a lot of things that you wouldn't find in a normal Airbnb rental, especially one where someone doesn't actually live there. I think we've all been to those Airbnbs that are a little bit just empty and cold.
Yeah. And you're like, why don't you have this thing that I need as a human being to live? And it's just because nobody has lived there. They don't have that
just
thing.
Just one plastic cup. Why all the, only wine glasses? Right. What am I doing? I'm going to give my kid milk in your wine glass? Come on, something my kid is not going to break, right? Yeah. Or there's just nothing on the walls, nothing on the shelves. It just feels really cold to me. So I get to have this warm, friendly place that I offer to people. And it really makes me happy. And I think that if it's not going to bring you joy in the process, then this isn't worth doing. So find a way to make it joyful is a big tip here. find a way to streamline the getting it set up. Find a great cleaner. They're your boots on the ground who is going to come in every time, clean the place up. They're also going to, you need more toilet paper. You need more paper towels. Make sure you get this. I've even had her install a new Roku into our TV when one broke while we were gone.
Wow.
That sort of thing. So a boots on the ground, someone, figure out where you're going to lock your personal belongings up into. We've even locked a whole bedroom. The first year we did this, we just didn't offer our third bedroom, and we just put strollers in there and bikes in there. But now we can lock that stuff up in our storage shed. But and then I like to go a little bit above and beyond and put little signs up in places. This is another just little small tip. Like, this is how to use the thermostat.
Yeah.
This is how to use the Bluetooth
I love Airbnbs
speaker
that have that. Yes.
Oh, yeah. This is like the outside light switch. You may not know it because it's a weird key fob thing to the light strands that twinkle and you can take photos of, things like that just make it smooth. And I get comments back that like, oh, it was so helpful to have those little things and so welcoming and easy and all of those things. So, and then I come home to a perfectly clean house.
Oh, yes.
And the last benefit I want to highlight here is that this makes you do this yearly kind of purge and deep clean of your home.
Yeah.
I mean, perhaps you're able to hire a cleaner and have someone do deep cleans on your home regularly, but this is a deep clean we're talking about of like stuff and clutter, the papers that kind of stack up that I'll just put them over there. And then I'm just going to put them over there. But you really kind of have to go through a lot of this stuff, either on the front end or the back end. We definitely have a box of things that like, I just had to throw it in there. And then when I unload that box, I'll definitely purge. Hopefully I'll have that time. But actually this year was the first year where we were kind of looking forward to that part. And it takes a good day of pushing that stuff through, but it's a great way for, we're gone for a month in the summertime. We have a great tourist destination and I'm going to make, between $5,000 and $10,000, depending on how many weeks I'm gone. And that's a great little like cap off on our yearly investing amount. It can get me into a crowd fund if we make enough. It can, over time, that's a big deal. So that's our first tip, is to think about that and your primary residence. I think most people think of that in terms of a different, an ADU or that sort of thing. But your whole house can be rented too. Now, our third topic that we want to talk about here is very similar in that it's figuring out other ways to sort of rent out, leverage your other assets. And that could be through an ADU. Maybe you're doing these types of things through an ADU. I assume that you could do a home exchange with an ADU as well.
You could.
You certainly can do Airbnb, of course, depending upon your restrictions in your town and the permitting requirements that are allowed. But I think that's an obvious one. Some other things that we talked about too are like renting out your car on Turo, which might be, we left our truck at home while we're on this trip. We took our smaller car. And we could be renting that out on Turo. I actually haven't looked into it. But that could be another stream of income for something that's just sitting around to be able to divert that into your investing fund.
I know some people
house
have
hacking.
a whole fleet of cars that they rent out on Turo or similar services, where that's their whole either side hustle or their whole business is they just rent out these cars.
Yeah. I've heard about that. Actually, another option here that I have experience with is renting out camper vans through outdoorsy.com. When we took my daughter up to Alaska and did a camping trip, and we wanted that flexibility of not having to, she was 2 and it's Alaska. So weather very unpredictable. It was in September, but we wanted to camp, but not necessarily like in a tent, outdoors all the time. So we thought, we'll rent a camper van. Then we're flexible. Oh, it's raining on this side of the pass. We can drive to the other side and see if it's a little bit more comfortable to stay. And it was great. And we found that the gentleman that we rented this, it was essentially an SUV that had been kitted out as a camper van. He included everything you need to camp, all the kitchen stuff, the bed stuff, even like a battery powered refrigerator that was the center console of the 2 seats in the front. It was insane. And lighting, beautiful kind of woodwork inside. But he had 3 of them, so he too was like, oh, this is a business. And especially up in Alaska, I'm sure that people like to have that kind of outdoor experience. But so thinking of it that way, but then just the standard house hacking too, ways to rent out parts of your home.
Yeah. And that includes, if you have a garage that could be rented out as studio space or an accessory dwelling unit, an ADU, as you were talking about, maybe you have a larger sized yard where you could plunk down something that's already been built. You don't have to build something up from scratch, and you can rent that out. So it's, as my coach once said, it's never about the resources. It's always about the resourcefulness. So if you can think outside the box, because most likely you have something that if you just got a little bit creative and thought outside the box, you could squeeze out a little bit of extra income from that, or a little bit of extra savings from that. And then as you put that into your investing bucket, it's going to grow over time. And then once you get to that threshold where you can then invest that, then the snowball really starts to grow.